Hi again, everyone. Um, I'm back. It's been an emotionally exhausting week. Had a lot of stuff going on. Um, I'm gonna make a video about that anyway. About everything that's been going on this week. It's been a lot. But yeah, I'm back, and what I want to do today is explore the topic of what BPD actually is and how it affects us who suffer with it. So I'm just going to be talking a little bit about what it actually is, and then talking about the different symptoms, how they can affect someone, and how they affect me also. So welcome to my channel, BPD and me. Here, talk about everything BPD, how it affects myself and others, and just talk about mental health in general. So I hope you enjoy this video. If you do, give us a little like, give us a subscribe if you haven't done so already, and let's get into it. So, what is BPD? Well, first, you've got to understand that BPD stands for borderline personality disorder, and it's a mental health condition that affects how you think and feel about yourself and the people around you. It can make relationships very hard, as I know myself. We can also have very intense emotions, and we can identify as feeling unstable also. What it is not is it's not us being dramatic, it's not us attention seeking, it's us having a disorder that's rooted in trauma, emotional dysregulation, and extreme emotional sensitivity as well. That all comes from his past. BPD is actually caused by trauma. If you've had traumatic experiences in your past of people leaving you, unstable relationships with people, not getting help with controlling your emotions and regulating them properly due to your trauma, it can all add up over the years, wrap up into a ball and cause borderline personality disorder. So that's a general overview of what BPD actually is. Obviously, it's a bit more nuanced than that. There is a lot more to it. It is such a complex condition to understand, and not a lot of people do actually get it and understand actually what goes on. So even though I'm going to give you the symptoms now, just bear in mind that not everybody reacts the same. Not everybody will have the same symptoms, because we are like very reactionary people as well, so we will react to situations differently as well. So just keep that in mind. So onto the symptoms and symptoms of BPD. There's 9 main symptoms, and to be diagnosed with BPD, you have to be displaying or presenting 5 of these to be officially diagnosed. So I'll quickly run through them. So the first symptom is an intense fear of abandonment. And this isn't just a fear, it's a panic response. And it's a panic response to being abandoned in the past by, could be a couple of people, could be a few people, and it's not being abandoned in the way of someone always turning around and leaving you. It could be abandoned due to anything really, death, natural growing apart. It doesn't always have to be so direct of people leaving you, but that definitely does play a huge part of it. People with BPD may go to great lengths to avoid real or imagined abandonment, even when there's no threat. So this is another thing. or sometimes our fear and panic of abandonment isn't always real. It's just what we perceive it as. So, for instance, if we text someone, for instance, and they don't reply within 10 minutes, or they read the message and maybe put the phone down or whatever, like leaving a BPD person on red for that long is just horrible for them. The way it leaves me feeling is now they hate me, they don't want to talk to me. Why aren't they texting back? Checking my phone every 5 minutes to see if the messaging back or typing or whatever. And it leaves you feeling really abandoned. Really, yeah. Like I say, can be a sort of someone who's not replying to a message fast enough, or someone cancelling plans that you had. Those can really feel like proof that someone is leaving for good. It kind of gets your hackles up basically, and your walls up, and think, whoa, hang on a minute, what's going on here? It shocks the nervous system into remembering that abandonment from before. And yeah, it triggers the survival instinct that, like I say, is rooted in emotional neglect and trauma. It's not about us being needy. It's not about anything like that. It's about not feeling safe with that connection. Because obviously the abandonment stuff from the past has come back up, and your brain tricks you into thinking that they're going to leave. So what happens with that is you sort of start like pushing them away first, keeping your distance from them, maybe ghosting them for a bit or whatever. You go into like a fight or flight mode, and it's usually a fight, and you end up doing stuff that'll push them away instead, so they can't push you away first and hurt you. And that brings us on to symptom number 2, which is unstable or shifting relationships. Now, yeah, this is a tough one. The relationships we have, and not just romantic relationships, any relationship we have with the people around us. That could be as family, as friends, as partner, as kids, anyone. I wouldn't say so for myself, not with my kids. With my daughter, I have a lovely relationship with her, and you'll find a little bit out about my daughter later. I will be talking about her. But yeah, with like especially adults, there is that unstable and shifting relationships. And it can feel like a roller coaster sometimes. One moment you're idealizing someone, saying you're perfect, the best thing that's ever happened to me, things like that. But then you can go from that to then devaluing them as well. Completely the opposite end of the scale, saying you're the worst. You made me feel like this. You made me feel like crap. Everything's bad now. And that's a process called splitting. So splitting is basically, what I just explained there. It's we don't have a grey area. Nothing is just okay. It's either perfect or it's bad. People are either good or they're evil. There's no in between for it. And again, is another survival response, another trauma response. Because that's what's happened. That's what's happened before. And yeah, it's tough to deal with sometimes. But we don't just do it with people; we do it with situations as well. We can split over the the slightest thing, like something can happen to us, and like something bad can happen to us, and then we'll split, and everything's bad then. Not just the thing that happened to us. Everything's bad. Everything's bad. Nothing's good. Nothing's ever going to be good again. And it's a delicate process that we go through when we do that. It's really tough to deal with. I've just recently come out of a splitting episode. I were in a splitting episode for what, 2 weeks. My ex-girlfriend split up with me, and at that point, everything was bad. Nothing were ever going to be good again. And yeah, I'll just recently come out of that now, and I'm doing better. But yeah, that's all for another video. I'm not going to get too much into that here, since this is a video explaining about what BPD actually is. But I will explain everything over the coming weeks and months. So yeah, moving on to symptom number 3, is an unclear or shifting self-image. So your sense of identity, you can feel foggy or inconsistent with it. 1 minute, you might not know who you really are or what you want, and that can drastically change depending on who you're around as well. They call it a personality disorder for a reason. That's because you change your personality based on who you are around. So, for instance, with my long-term ex-girlfriend, who I was with for 8 years, we used to watch wrestling, WWE. We watched it for ages, and now that we're not together anymore, I have not watched WWE at all. Like, I'm not bothered about it anymore. And it's things like that you change. Like I know some people who can like when they're with the friends who like to read, for instance, and then they don't have those friends anymore. They're like, what's a book? Like, no, don't like books anymore. You know what I mean? It changes. You change who you are based on who you're around. Especially when those people leave as well. Yeah, that's why I don't have friends. Yeah, and then it can go the other way. One day you can feel real confident and driven. And Pete and things like that. You know who you are. You know what you want. Blah blah blah. Things like that. It just constantly changes all the time. Yeah, it can also lead to some quite impulsive decisions. Sorry, things like careers, gender identity, values, and more. They can change as well all the time, depending on what personality you have, depending on who you are at that moment. Again, that's why they call it a personality disorder, because your sense of self and your self-image change all the time, and 1 minute you're this person, and next minute you're another person, and next minute you're another person, and it's exhausting. It really is. So that brings us on to symptom number 4, which is impulsive and self-destructive behaviours. Now, this is the big one for me. I'm very impulsive. I self-destruct a lot. And these aren't just bad habits. These aren't just bad habits that we do. These are like coping mechanisms that we need to use to make ourselves feel okay. And to sort of stop the emotional pain or the emptiness that we feel. Things like,
will you just put bathroom window in place? I can't reach it.
Sorry guys, that will move on. as I was saying, the coping mechanisms, and it can be anything like reckless spending, having unsafe sex, binge eating, substance abuse, whether that be alcohol, drugs, whatever, or even self-harm. And I'll be talking about self-harm a lot. It is one of the coping mechanisms I use quite a bit, actually. And I will be going into that, and what that feels like, and why I do it. But none of these things are about thrill seeking. They're attempts to escape your overwhelming feelings. The feelings that, because as I say, we feel emotions quite intensely, and quite often. And other times we don't feel nothing, we just feel numb. So we need to feel something. So it's usually those unhealthy mechanisms that make us feel the most, really. So that brings us on to symptom number 5, which is emotional instability and extreme mood swings, or emotional dysregulation as well. So it's funny when I bring this up, because I laugh because my long-term ex-girlfriend, who I was talking about earlier, she has bipolar. And we're friends now, we talk. But she always said to me that bipolar is one of the worst conditions, because you can be in an episode for like a couple of weeks, whatever. Which honestly I don't agree. I agree with. Sorry. I'm not downplaying that experience, and bipolar has got to be really, really hard to live with. It is one of the worst conditions you can have. But then I fired back at her. But imagine going through like maybe 7 to 10 different episodes a day. And that's what we have to do. That's what us BPD folk have to do. We have to go through those episodes a day, every day. And it's just many little ones. Like imagine feeling joy, grief, rage, shame, and fear all in one day, sometimes over the span of an hour. It's a lot. It's a lot, it really is. And it's exhausting to go through all those emotions, it really is. Especially in the span of an hour, and not be able to regulate them either. They're intense, and they shift rapidly, and they're just triggered by small things as well. Like not much triggers us off, and then we'll go into this cycle of emotional instability and feel all these things rapidly shifting within us. It's like the emotional volume is stuck on high, and there's no remote to turn it down. We cannot find a remote anywhere, so it's stuck on 100. They're not just bad moods that we have. We're not just in a mood. No, they're overwhelming emotional storms. They are so intense and overwhelming that it's like you can't even begin to process anything in your head because you don't know how to. You can't grab onto anything to process it because, like, what it's like, it freezes you sometimes, and that's where the numbness comes in as well. Because all these things are clashing inside your head. You can't process it, and you're left feeling like that. You're left feeling, what do I do? What do I actually do? I know. I'll shut down. That's where the numbness comes from. You shut down. because you can't process it, you don't know how to, and you don't want to deal with it at that moment, so you shut yourself down. And that's a normal, I'd say another defense and survival tactic that your body and brain goes through, because it doesn't want to deal with what's up here right now, so it's shutting itself down, and then it's making you feel nothing, so you don't have to deal with that. Emotional dysregulation is really hard to deal with, and there's only one. Well, there's a few ways, but the best way, which I will talk about in another video as well, seeing as I'm going to be starting it soon, is DBT, which stands for dialectical behaviour therapy, and that. It's designed for people with BPD, and it does teach you emotional regulation. Actually how to manage that. But like I said, I'll talk about that in another video. So that brings us on to symptom number 6, and this is chronic feelings of emptiness. This isn't just boredom. This isn't just us sitting there staring into space because we don't know what to do. It's a black hole. It's a black hole inside yourself. You feel hollow. There's no sense of meaning or purpose. You try and fill the void with people, activities, substances, all that, but it never works. And it's a profound internal silence that can feel unbearable. It really is. Emptiness is a really hard thing to deal with as well. When you feel like you've got nothing inside you. Like you don't know who you are, where you're going in life. Your life has no meaning or purpose. Nothing can fill that hole inside you. You try different things. You try go for walks. You try gaming. You try distracting yourself. You might try reading. You might try talking to people. Doing drugs. I myself smoke cannabis. It doesn't really work. None of it works. Especially when you're feeling like that. It's really hard to deal with. It really is. So that brings us on to symptom number 7, which is I'm just laughing because this is a big one for me as well. It's an inappropriate, intense anger, or I'd say and not difficulty controlling your anger as well. This isn't just us getting mad. This is rage. This is an intense rage that comes out of nowhere. The dam just suddenly bursts and it floods out, and you will lash out, or if you don't have BPD, someone with BPD will lash out quite a lot actually. Now, for myself, I don't lash out physically at people. I do stop it there, but I do lash out with my words a lot. When I'm feeling like that, I love to argue with people. I love to start arguments with people. And I can get really, really bad. It's like I said, an intense rage that comes on suddenly. Sometimes over things that feel small in hindsight. I can just sit here thinking about something and I get that angry over it that I'll lash out. And I get really, really angry. It might be explosive outbursts or simmering resentment. But behind that anger is it's pain, it's fear of being hurt, it's the feeling of being unseen or unheard. That's a big one for me. I don't feel like people understand a lot. they try to, and they do see it, and they do see what I go through, but they can never truly understand what goes on up here. And because they can't, that sort of makes me like feeling neglected, I guess, which gets me angry. That can set it off really, really bad. That is one of my triggers, to be honest. It's it's a really difficult one to deal with, is this, because we can't help it. Like, we can't help getting angry. Like, nobody can help getting angry, but we can't help getting that angry, because, as I say, that anger is born of pain and fear. Fear of being hurt, fear of being abandoned. As I say, the feeling of being unseen or unheard, not valued enough, things like that. That's where it's born from, and because, tying it back in with feeling emotions so intensely, anger and rage is an emotion, and that's why I think we do what we do, why we do have these explosive outbursts so much, and quite badly as well, because it's just a BPD heightening that sensation. It's a tough one as well. I mean, these are all tough to deal with. So that brings on to symptom number 8, which is stress-related paranoia or disassociation. So, in times of stress, when we are stressed, when we are going through our, for lack of a better word, episodes, especially when it's related to emotional stress as well. We, all with BPD, people who suffer with BPD, experience paranoia. That could be everyone hates me, they're plotting against me, they're out to get me, or anything like that. And it can also cause disassociation as well. Now, I myself have dissociative identity disorder as well. I do dissociate quite a bit. And disassociation, for those who don't know, is a sense of being detached from your own body or surroundings. It's like being emotional shutting down or zoning out, and sort of like viewing yourself. You know what I mean? Things like that. And that's to avoid overwhelming distress. When you're stressed, when you're really, really stressed, it's your brain's way of detaching itself from reality to protect you. There is more to disassociation as well. There's depersonalization, where you detach from yourself. Sort of like you're looking in on yourself, and then there's derealization, which is where you don't think anything's real around you. Now, I don't really go for I don't really have the depersonalization. I don't feel like I'm detached from my body and looking into myself. I have the derealization, where I don't think anything's real. And sometimes I will be sat here, and I'll look around me, and I'll just think, is this real? Am I actually here doing this? And that can be quite scary. It really can. And if you've ever disassociated before like that, you know what I'm talking about. It can be really, really scary, can it? And it's tough to deal with sometimes, because then you'll snap back to reality and you'll be like, I just disassociated then. Like, I didn't think anything was real. Sometimes you'll remember it. Sometimes you won't. Sometimes, like the little story, like 5 months ago, I had quite a bad breakdown. I had this, disassociated really, really bad. I don't remember half of it. I don't remember half of what I did. I was like, I slipped into an alter ego, which was a young child, and I don't remember half of what I did. When mum, my mum and my cousin were there at the time, they told me about it, and they were like, "Did I do that? Did I say that?" Yeah, when you get told back what you do when you disassociate, it's like, what did? No, I didn't do that. Did I? I didn't say that. But yeah, you actually did, and it's crazy. It's crazy to hear it back sometimes. So yeah, that's this disassociating. Like I say, it can be a scary thing. Another stress related thing is stress related psychosis as well. It's not just a disassociation or the I can't remember what I said now. The paranoia. It can be psychosis as well. So this can be hearing voices. Voices that tell you to do things, voices that say things to you, bad things, or it can even be seeing, shadows, whether that shadow takes the form of a person. I mean, with myself, it takes the form of a black mass just out of the corner of my eye. I can see it just out of the corner of my eye. It's never direct. It's just there, and it's like a black floating mass. And that is scary. That is really scary. I have to admit that does scare me when that happens, because it's like, oh shit, it's there again. What's it gonna do? And like I said, that's all related to stress. Like if we're really stressed out, if we're drained, even if we're going through emotional dysregulation, it can happen, and it is really scary when it comes on. But it's not real. It's not real. And I really want to stress that point, especially to the people who do experience this. If you do have stress-related psychosis, just tell yourself it's not real. It's not actually there. The voices are actually there. The shadows are actually there. I know it's hard at the time to think like that because you do think it's real. And you do think they're coming to get you, or they're trying to hurt you, or whatever, which is where the paranoia comes in as well. But I do want to, stress that it's not real. It's a trauma response. It's a response to how you're feeling at that moment. It's your brain trying to trick you into thinking that it's in danger and you're in danger because of what's happened in the past. But it's not real. It's all made up, it's your brain making stuff up. And so yeah, I really want to stress that point too, especially to people who do experience it. It's not real, even though it feels like it at the time. And that does bring us on to the final and 9th symptom of BPD, which is we talked a little bit about this before, but the actual official symptom as well is recurrent suicidal behaviour or self-harming behaviours. So everybody has fleeting thoughts about not wanting to be here anymore, wanting to hurt themselves, things like that. For us, it's different. For us, it's a constant battle within ourselves to not do that. It's a constant feeling of wanting to do that or of not wanting to be here anymore. Suicidal ideation, which is thinking about or planning suicide. It's always in the back of your mind, even when it's not an active thing. Active ideation, they call that, which is where you're actively thinking about it. Now, there's active ideation and passive ideation. Passive ideation is where you're not thinking about it, but it's still there. It can also include actual suicide attempts. I mean, I've been in the hospital probably 4 times now in about as many months, due to trying to take my own life. Yeah, I'll talk about that. I'll talk about that later. I'm going to do a separate video on that. And the other one is self harm itself, self injury itself, and that could be anything. That could be cutting. It could be hitting yourself. It could be burning yourself. Anything that causes injury to yourself is classed as self harm. And self harm, like I say, can come out in many ways. Obviously, I'm not going to tell you those ways. But yeah, and it's not an attention-seeking thing. It really isn't. That's what many people get confused about. That we're attention-seeking, we're crying for help. It's not. It's an attempt to manage unbearable emotional pain, or to express distress when words fail. Sometimes we can't express our distress. Sometimes we can't talk about it. We can't talk about what's wrong. And so we internalise that, and we take it out on ourselves, because we don't want to take it out on other people, but we do take it out on ourselves, because that's the only person we can take it out on. And yeah, many people who suffer with BPD describe it as the only way to feel in control, to feel anything, or to punish themselves, and that is so true. Is that it really is? It's a release, It's just a way to feel, and with the self harm, it's I don't know if you guys have ever heard of a rapper called NF. I'm pretty sure most of you have. If you're up to date with the music scene and that. But in one of his songs, he says, "Suicide thoughts come and go like a guest to me. I don't want to die. I just want to get relief." And that is so true. Sometimes you don't want to die. You don't. You just want to get that release from everything that you're feeling, all the pain, all the hurt that you're going through right now. You want release from it. You don't want to feel it anymore. You just want it all to be over with. And it's unfortunately a thing that you do. And it ties in with the impulsivity and recklessness that we experience as well. Like, the best way I can describe that is you get an idea in your head at the time and you think it's the best idea in the world, and you have to do the idea or else it's all going to go wrong. It's kind of splitting really. And then afterwards you feel like, why did I do that? Like, that didn't help at all. Like, that just made everything worse. So yeah, it's that we have to go through as well. Like, we think ideas are really, really good, and we probably split to the point where where we think it's the best idea ever, and it's really not. Most of the time, it's really not. It's just an impulsive decision that you made when you were feeling down or in a spiral or an episode. And yeah, it's not the best decision ever. So going back to the self harm bit, it's a red flag that requires immediate care and compassionate understanding. I mean, a bit of statistics for you here. Up to 70% of people with BPD will attempt suicide at least once in their lifetime. I mean, just think about that for a second. 70% of people will attempt to take their own life at least once. So that's that's not even counting the people who try it multiple times. Another shocking statistic might be 10% of people actually die from it. 10% of those people are successful in taking their own life, and that may not seem like a lot, but I do need to back check this. Bear with me 1 second. So approximately 1.6% of the world's population is estimated to have BPD. So what's the population of the world at the moment? 8 billion people. Just over 8 billion people in the world. Now think about this for a second. Let's do some calculations here. So, out of those 8 billion people, let me get that number in there. 8 billion people. So, out of those 8 billion people, what did I say? 1.6%. So, 1.6%. So out of those 8 billion people, 128 million have BPD. So 10%. So 70% of those 128 million. So 89.6 million people with BPD will attempt to take their life at least once in their lifetime. Out of that, 10% of people actually succeed. So that would be what? So let me make sure I've got this right. Yeah, that'd be nearly 9 million people that actually succeed in taking their own life. And think about that for a second. Think about that number for a second. 9 million people. It's crazy when you think about it like that, isn't it? And those 9 million people, I bet you at least half of them could have got the help if someone had just listened to them. If someone had just understood. If someone had helped. So this is my message to you. If you know someone with borderline personality disorder, not even borderline personality disorder, if you know someone who's struggling, if you know someone who's going through a tough time right now, if you know someone who is actively self-harming or having suicidal thoughts, reach out to them. Ask them if they're okay. Ask them if they need any help. Be there for them. Be kind. Be compassionate. Listen without judging. Be understanding. Don't charge in. Ask them, why are you doing that? What are you doing that for? Be a compassionate person. Don't go in all guns blazing. Sit and listen and be there for them. So that's what I need. That's what we need. We need to be listened to. We need to be heard. We need to be seen. We need to feel understood. Because if we don't, we spiral. And just remember, just think about this for a second. 9 million people, yeah? You could be a person that saves one of that 9 million with BPD. I mean, there's probably more in the world that have, it's not just people with BPD who commit suicide, obviously. Just reach out. Just, if you know anyone who's struggling and going through a tough time, please reach out to them. And if you're going through a tough time right now, if you feel like this, if you feel suicidal, if you feel like you need to hurt yourself, talk to someone. Reach out to me. I'm here. Send me a message on YouTube. I'll always talk to you. I'll always have time for it. If it's not me, talk to someone. Talk to a friend. Talk to a doctor. Talk to a family member. Talk to a stranger. Talk to anyone. Don't go through it alone. Because being alone is one of the worst things in the world for mental health. It really is. Because you feel like you have to carry it by yourself. I had to do that for a long time. I've had to carry it by myself for a long time, and I've put it all behind closed doors, locked it all away, tried to forget about it, tried to suppress it. It doesn't work. It really doesn't. It all comes back in the end. Those doors get opened and it all floods out. Yeah, so do please reach out if you ever feel like that. So this is turned out to be quite a long video actually. We're at 45 minutes now. But I hope that's given you a sense of what BPD actually is and how it affects us. Obviously the 9 symptoms are there. Now please don't go and diagnose yourself with BPD off this video. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical professional, I'm just someone who lives with BPD. I do have lived experience, but I'm by no means a healthcare professional or anything like that. This isn't a diagnosis, this is just how it affects someone living with BPD. But if you do find yourself resonating with anything I've said in this video, especially if you find yourself resonating with 5 or more of the symptoms, go see your doctor. By all means, go see your doctor. Ask them, can I get an assessment done? Or talk to them about how you're feeling, what you resonate with. See what they say. Have that conversation. Because it could very well be that you do have it. But yeah, just don't go diagnosing yourself off of what I've told you here. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. And like I say, I hope you got a good sense of what BPD is and how it affects us, what the major symptoms are of it, and a little bit of insight into how it affects me and my life as well. And you'll learn about a lot more about me over the months to come, don't worry. So I'm going to end the video here. Thank you for watching if you watched all the way through. I hope you have, because I really do want to get the message across. I really want this to be informative as possible, because BPD is such a complicated condition to understand. I felt like I'd do a video explaining it, so you can really start to get what I'm saying in future videos as well, and just understand the condition as a whole. If you ever do come across someone with BPD, and if you do, don't treat them like a villain, like some people do. Treat them with respect, treat them with kindness. At the end of the day, we're people, we're human beings with feelings, with intense feelings, and we do take rejection quite literally. So if you do come across someone that suffers with borderline personality disorder, be kind to them, please. Be respectful, be compassionate towards them, be understanding. Don't treat them like they're a psychopath, don't treat them like they're a sociopath. It's not about that at all. It's about everything I've just explained in this video. So, like I said, I'll end the video here now. Please like and subscribe if you didn't find any of this informative or anything. And I will see you in the next video.